There comes a day when a man must decide. Will he keep one foot in the world he's trying to leave? Or will he burn the bridge so completely that there's no road back? Average is not an insult. It's a disease. It's not loud. It's not violent. It's slow, comfortable death. It seduces you with just enough money to survive, just enough pleasure to stay distracted, and just enough approval to stop questioning yourself. And that's why it's dangerous. Because average doesn't destroy you suddenly. It rots you quietly. Men who never go back to being average are different for one reason. They end the option. There is no plan B. There is no if this doesn't work out. There is no nostalgia for who they used to be. They decide. And the decision is final. This is the first law of the mental code. You cannot leave the prison. If you keep the keys to return. Most men keep those keys. They keep old habits, old friends, old environments, old ways of thinking just in case. They think it's safety. It's not. It's sabotage. Because as long as your past is still comfortable, your future will always be negotiable. The man who escapes mediocrity makes the past uninhabitable. He destroys the version of himself that could live there. He changes his standards so high that the old life feels suffocating. How? Through irreversible identity shifts. He changes his daily environment until it no longer welcomes laziness. He surrounds himself with people whose minimums are higher than his old maximums. He removes every escape route back to comfort. He holds himself to rituals so strong that they rewire his brain. And most importantly, he learns to despise the feeling of settling, not in a bitter way, in a way that makes his soul allergic to stagnation. When you've tasted even a glimpse of your real potential, the old life doesn't just look small, it looks toxic. You start seeing the cost of average everywhere. In wasted time, in wasted health, in wasted opportunity, in wasted manhood. The first part of the mental code is simple but ruthless. Make average unbearable. Make it so that even if someone offered you comfort, safety, and a slow, easy life, you'd feel insulted. Make it so that the man you've become would be physically incapable of going back. Because until that happens, your mind will always flirt with the past. Asterisk, here's the truth no one wants to face. You can change your habits for a while. You can change your environment for a while. You can even change your results for a while. But if you don't change your identity, you will go back. It's inevitable. Because the mind always seeks to return to what feels familiar. If the identity of average is still sitting in your subconscious, it will pull you back the moment life gets hard. That's why men who never return don't just improve themselves. They redefine themselves. They stop saying, I'm trying to be disciplined. They start saying, I am a disciplined man. They stop saying, I want to be successful. They start saying, I am a man who creates success. The difference is subtle, but it's everything. One is an aspiration. The other is a law. You cannot live above your identity. If you see yourself as average, you will sabotage every attempt to rise, because rising will feel like lying. So, what do the elite do? They install identity locks. An identity lock is a belief about yourself so strong that violating it feels like breaking a sacred oath. Think of a man who calls himself a warrior. If he truly believes it, he cannot tolerate cowardice in himself, not even in private. Think of a man who calls himself a leader. He cannot afford to live without integrity, because every action reflects back to that title. This is the secret. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your identity. So the men who never go back build an identity that refuses to tolerate average. They speak differently. They dress differently. They move differently. They even think differently. Because they're pretending, but because they've programmed themselves to live at a higher frequency. Here's where most fail. They think identity is built from results. It's not. Identity is built from rituals. If you wake up at the same hour every day, train when you said you would, and keep the promises you make to yourself, your mind starts to see you as reliable. And when you see yourself as reliable, breaking that standard feels wrong. This is how the lock is installed. The men who never go back don't rely on motivation to keep going. They rely on the fact that quitting would violate who they are to them. Missing a workout is not just a missed workout. It's an attack on their own name. It's personal. It's spiritual. That's the difference between a man playing at self-improvement and a man who has crossed the point of no return. You must make your new standards non-negotiable. Not goals. Not experiments. Non-negotiable S. And here's the painful truth. That means you must be willing to kill the old version of you completely. No keeping a little of him just in case. No allowing cheat seasons. No saying, I'll go hard again next month. When you lock your identity, you lock the door behind you and throw away the key. From that moment, every decision you make either strengthens the lock or weakens it. Men who never go back protect their lock like a king protects his crown. They know that once the lock breaks, the old life rushes back in. That's why they guard their habits, their environment, and most of all, their self-talk. Because if the mind starts whispering, maybe I can relax now, it's the first crack in the lock, and cracks grow so they speak to themselves with precision. I am this kind of man. This is my code. This is how I move. And when they do, average life becomes as impossible as fitting into clothes 2 sizes too small. Not because they can't, but because it would feel unnatural, wrong, foreign. And that's exactly the point. Asterisk. The truth is simple. Average lives are built on comfort. Every decision to avoid discomfort is a brick in the wall of mediocrity. Most men spend their entire lives building that wall. They choose the warm bed over the cold morning. They choose the easy conversation over the hard truth. They choose the known over the unknown. And brick by brick, they lock themselves into a small, soft prison. The men who never go back, they have a comfort kill switch. The moment they feel themselves getting too comfortable, they flip it and throw themselves back into the fire. They know the rule. Comfort is where hunger goes to die. When you stay too long in comfort, you lose the sharpness in your instincts. Your urgency fades. Your vision dulls. Your ambition starts whispering, it's fine. We're fine. And fine is the most dangerous word in a man's vocabulary. The elite understand that discomfort is not an obstacle. It's a signal. It's the gym for the mind. It's the sharpening stone for the soul. When you step into cold water, your body screams, get out. But the man with the kill switch hears something else. This is where you grow. When you face a conversation you'd rather avoid, the average man finds excuses. The man with the kill switch walks straight into it because he knows truth spoken in discomfort is power. When a challenge threatens to expose his limits, the average man retreats. The man with the kill switch smiles because exposing limits is the only way to expand them. Here's the twist. Over time, these men don't just tolerate discomfort. They crave it because they've trained their brain to link discomfort with progress. They no longer chase what's easy. They chase what's effective. This is how they make regression impossible. They make comfort feel like suffocation. Average men run toward comfort. Elite men use comfort only for recovery, never as a lifestyle. They will rest, yes. They will enjoy pleasure, yes. But they never live there, because they know comfort is like sugar, safe in small doses, deadly in excess. The comfort kill switch also means constant self-interruption. When life starts to feel too easy, they'll change their environment. When their training starts to feel too routine, they'll raise the weight or change the method. When business feels predictable, they'll launch a new project or enter a new market, not because they're reckless, but because stagnation is worse than failure. You see, failure is feedback. It shows you where to improve. Comfort gives you nothing. It's a slow fade into irrelevance. That's why the mental code demands a man seek tension, not avoid it. If there's no tension in your bay, you're shrinking. If there's no resistance in your training, you're weakening. If there's no risk in your goals, you're settling. A man who never goes back builds a baseline of challenge so high that even his easy days would break most men. And when you live like that, going back to average life doesn't just sound unappealing. It feels impossible, because average requires softness, and you've replaced softness with steel. And that's the paradox. The more you choose discomfort, the more you expand your comfort zone, until the life that scares other men feels like home to you. Every man who truly escapes mediocrity comes to the same point. It's not a day of celebration. It's not a grand victory. It's a quiet, ruthless moment when he swears an oath to himself, not the kind you write down and forget, not the kind you post on social media to look committed. This is an internal contract, one written so deep into your soul that breaking it would feel like self-betrayal. The oath is simple in words, but eternal in weight. I will never go back. And here's the catch. You can't just say it. You have to build a life that enforces it. That means burning the bridges, for real this time, not just symbolically, physically, structurally, financially, socially. If there is a job, a habit, a place, a person that would welcome you back into the average life, you remove it. No, just in case. No safety net. No fallback plan, because safety nets catch you and keep you from learning how to land on your feet. The men who live by this oath design their lives like fortresses. Every wall is reinforced by discipline. Every gate is guarded by high standards. Every room is filled only with things that push them forward. And this is not paranoia. It's protection. Because they know that average life doesn't come knocking loudly. It slips in quietly through neglected routines, small compromises, and familiar comforts. So they guard themselves like warriors. They protect their mornings. Because how you start the day determines who you become. They protect their bodies. Because a weak vessel cannot carry a strong mission. They protect their minds. Because one poisonous idea can undo years of progress. And here's the hardest part. They protect themselves from themselves. They know their weaknesses. They know their triggers. They know the places their old self still hides. And they make war against them daily. Some do it with strict schedules. Some do it with relentless training. Some do it with constant creation and contribution. But all of them do it with vigilance. Because the oath is not a one-time event. It's a lifestyle. Every morning you wake up and decide, not today, not ever. And every night you go to sleep knowing, I kept the promise. This creates a compounding effect. Every day you hold the line, you push mediocrity further away. Every day you keep the oath, you make average life less reachable, less imaginable, less possible. And then one day, you realize you've crossed an invisible line. You've been living so far above average for so long that even if you tried to go back, you wouldn't fit. You wouldn't belong. You wouldn't survive there because the air is too thin up here for the old you to breathe. That's when you know you're free. Not because you escaped once, but because you built yourself into a man who could never survive in captivity again. That is the final mental code. Create a life, body, and mind that reject mediocrity as if it were poisoned. From this day forward, every choice you make either feeds the oath or starves it. And only one of those leads to the man you're meant to be. So seal it now. Say it to yourself with the weight it deserves. I will never go back. I will never settle. I will never betray the man I have become. This is my standard. This is my life. This is final. And then leave like the oath is law. Because for men like you, it is. Asterisk, if you felt this message deep in your bones, it's because the man you are meant to be is calling, and he refuses to share a life with the man used to be. Subscribe for more content that keeps you sharp. Turn on notifications to never miss the call to rise. Share this video with a man who needs to burn his bridge to mediocrity. And remember, your old life is gone. Your new life is here. Never average again.